This video I want to talk about textures and getting a texture into UDK. I've got this building in SketchUp, and this building's got this brick wall on the outside. That's the one that I'm really worried about at the moment. So I've got this brick wall, and in SketchUp you can tell it's bricks, but it's just a picture of bricks on a wall. Obviously, when it comes down to it, I would like to have something that you can see when you look at from an angle that you've actually got bumpy bricks in there. So how do we go about that? Well, okay, as I mentioned in another video, I'll give you a bit of a recap, but I've got these images that have come out of this. So the brick, the stone and the tile. I'm going to start off with a brick, and I'm going to take that into Photoshop, and we need to have a look at the size of this image for a start, which is 205 by 128. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to untick to constrain the proportions, and I'm going to make that 256 by 128. That way, and that way, that will actually be a texture that we can use in UDK. Right, so once I've got that sized properly, I can save as, and save that as a PNG file, brickroughdark.png, and we'll OK for the interlace. The problem we've got with this flat image is that Unreal Development Kit, the 3D engine, needs to know what bits of this should be raised and what bits should be lowered, and also how to look at it from different angles with the light. So the light's coming shining on, and that's what gives you the impression of something being textured. With this, you can just see it's a flat image. What we want to do is to be able to move around, and as the light's hitting it at different angles, we can see different little shadows, and also then to So how can we utilize this flat image to tell UDK how to generate this light and bumps? Well, what we can do is we can use a program called SS Bump Generator, which is free to download. And SS Bump Generator, when you run it, it pops up, asks you to put an image in there, so we can add an image. And I'll just find my projects folder. And I need to use the PNG file I've got. And we can see we've got a button there that says generate a normal map. And it gives you options to. So from this program, you can see there we can see settings, normal map only in there, and then we can see there generate selected, and that has actually made, if I look at my house, it's actually created this rather strange file. And this is made up of red, green and blue, and this actually tells Unreal Development Kit what bits are raised and what bits are lowered. Now, as we sort of zoom out, you see there's not a lot of contrast to that. We can actually improve upon that image, and while I've got Photoshop open, I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to bring this into Photoshop and go into my levels, and you can see there actually the amount of information that's in there. We've got a little bit at the end, but all this beginning bit, we could perhaps just take that away as well, so we've got it starting and finishing there. You can see now this image has got more detail in there. I'm just going to save that and save it as a PNG, overwrite the original file, and there we go. So we've got a normal map. So moving over to UDK, I brought my building in, and as you can see there, we've got this this building with the checker pattern on it, which is telling us there's no materials in there. Let's just have a look what the outside is. It's a good guess. It's number 1. We can see there, selected it, and it's highlighted all that. So right, first and foremost, what I need to do is I need to bring in material. So I'm going to go into house. I need to bring in the textures, so I'm going to bring in that file and that file. So select them both, and I've created a package called My Game, and I'll group these as textures. Okay, to both of those. There in there you can see I've got a nice new packages, My Game, and I've got static meshes and textures. So I'm in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a material. So I'm going to right click, create new material, and I'll put this into another group called materials. And so that is the material. Just to recap then, the material is made up of textures and a number of different nodes. So I double click on that and hold down Control and left click drag to the side. You've got this texture sample, we'll plug that into diffuse, and you can see there we've got the normal texture. Now okay, so let's apply that, close this down, and I'm going to go into my My Game's static mesh. I'm going to bring that static mesh in. It's quite tiny, so I'm going to scale that up so that it's something that we can view. And let's just navigate. Let's just turn the camera speed down and navigate there so that we can see this building. I'm going to double click on it and we'll go into the materials, pick the material we just created and go into the static mesh editor and pick that material to be applied across there. Now okay, so I'm just going to click on something else so that we can go in and have a look at that material. Right, okay, so the problem with this is, as it stands, there we go, is it looks a lot nicer than it did in SketchUp, but it still is very, very flat. So we need to go back and look at what we can do to this material. Well, you can see on this material we've got this node called normal, and what we need to do is to put the texture for normal in there. I'm just going to move this to the side, utilize my screen, go into textures, and this texture, I'm going to drag that onto there, open it out again, and don't forget you've got to hold down Control to drag that across. And if I plug that then into the normal, get into the right place, what we've then got is that this now has a little bit more to it than just being a flat surface. Look at it on as a brick wall. Now when we move this onto a cube, it actually looks like the brick is sat back and that the mortar is stuck out. So the problem is that this this texture sample is actually the wrong way around. Now I've left it like this because you may get this situation. If we go back into SS bump generator again, we can go in there, settings, and actually there's an invert the height map setting that we can do. So if I regenerate the normal map, then what I can do is I can then bring that into Photoshop, and you can already see the difference between the two. Okay, and I will again just adjust that. Can you see how one is one way around, one's the other way around? Okay, and save that again. In fact, I'll just merge that layer and save that, and then I need to go back into UDK and re-import it. So I'll just say no, we don't want that, and on textures we can re-import that texture. You see it's brought that back in again, and then go into material, and we just need to bring that across. So pick that texture, drag it in, and use Control to get it in the right place. Plug it into normal, and now you'll see you've got these bricks that stick up. Okay, so that's a lot better. What else can we do? Well, the other thing that we can do is we can do a bump offset. Now, the way that we do a bump offset is that in materials we right click in there and go into utility, and in there we can see a new bump offset. Now, what a bump offset does is it uses the alpha channel, so just basically the black and white of this image, in order to be able to generate what we call a height map, and the height map then can be fed back into the UVs of these texture samples, and you will see the difference. Let's just make sure that we get this on something that's, yeah, we'll leave it at that to see. Okay, so what we're going to do is I can't feed that into that, which then feeds back into that, because it'll create a bit of a loop. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull it out to there. I want to select the texture sample, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So we've got that one, and then that will go this side. So this alpha channel is plugged into the height, and then we use the output of that to go into the UVs and UVs of the normal map as well. I don't really notice, but it seemed to sort of raise that up, and this bump offset does have a height ratio and a reference plane, and if you alter those values it will actually give you more depth. So let's just zoom in a little bit on there. Height ratio at 0.05. If we change it to 0.1, you can see it's sort of brought it even more up. It can go a bit silly. You can see there, put it to 1 and it just goes ridiculous. So I'm going to take it back to 0.05 because it does give us more than we originally had. And so you can see there we've actually got a decent brick wall material. Okay, that, close it, and the back onto the static mesh again. And we can see we've got in there, so let's just play from here. And can you see we've actually got this nice brick wall texture on there.